WHC's Cathay Unit Pack War Under Heaven mod spotlight. Super excited to show this mod off. This mod is going to be divided into 4 groups. We're going to have the Mark of Vermillion, Mark of Azure, Mark of Iron, and Mark of Basalt. And each of these are going to be a grouping of units together. And we're going to go into the stats, show them off. And as always, the link to this mod will be down in the description, so for sure check it out. And our first group up here, we're getting more into the wildlands and the areas further away from Grand Cathay. We have the Mark of Vermillion, which is a flame resistance plus 20% for all units in this group. And the first unit we're looking at here is the Huntsmen with Spears. A lot of units in this mod do have ranged attacks, so I've tried to show off as much as I can, but there's a lot. I like the look of these guys. You look at them and automatically go, oh yeah, Huntsman. So I think these designs are right on point for the unit. A really cool thing about these Huntsman units, they actually have an ability called the Hound Ambush, and it actually summons a unit of hounds to attack the enemy. So there is a little bit of a bonus in that. I didn't get any ranged combat footage on the Huntsman archers, but I did get their melee just because it's hilarious with their melee weapon. It's very, very small. It's like a butter knife coming at the enemy. But overall, I mean, again, though, you look at these guys, their design's really well. I mean, it looks remote. It looks like a Huntsman. Look how small those knives are. Like, out of all melee weapons I've seen on an archer, these are the worst. Next up, we have the Torch Inmates with dual swords. And again, you know, you're in a remote area. Why would you send good troops, you know? Let's just send some convicts, you know? So these are actually criminals that have been organized into these units. And it kind of makes sense that you would send these guys off to fight far away from the lands. From your main lands, I guess you would say. But these guys look good, though. I mean, I like the armor. Even though they're supposed to be a prison unit, they look really good. Their weapons look really good. Good quality on this. The same base model as the last unit. We have the Torch Inmates, but they have hand bows. So what you'd expect is a melee weapon in one and a hand bow in the other hand. Not a big fan of these, actually. I kind of like the dual unit more than these. I feel like the missile, I guess the ranged attacks on this unit, to me, sacrificing the stat changes from not having 2 weapons, I just think it's not worth it. So I feel like, I know if I play this mod, I'm not ever going to use this unit. I'm always going to use the other one, if that makes sense. Next up, we have the Torch Inmates with Great Axe. I like this unit. I like their weapon. That weapon looks sick, in my opinion. And again, though, all these units really fit together well on their looks. There's minor changes in between. But overall, I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite weapons in the mod just because I really like the look of it. And it's just something I could see myself wanting to use a lot in battles. Now we have the Patrol Hounds. This is the only beast unit that's in this mod. But again, though, it looks really good for Grand Cathay. I could actually believe this on how it looks. It fits in. I like the armor. And these guys, obviously, they're a very low tier unit. I mean, they're not really doing a lot of damage. These are your hit and runs, or your ambushing, or your flanking units here. So yeah, you're not going to be using these as a mainstay frontline unit. But again, these are good units. Heavy Bayway Warriors, Great Axe Infantry. These guys look good. I mean, they're just heavy armor unit. I like the axe on these guys. You got the spear, you got the axe, you got the double-sided axe. I mean, this is just a really good looking unit. Stats look good, armor's high, leadership's high. Just all together, this is a great unit in my opinion, and really kind of finalizes this group. There is one more unit left, but overall, this is one of my favorite units in the mod. This cavalry unit looks sick. I've got to say, probably one of the best looking cavalry units, just everything about it. The Fire Kirin Riders, Great Axe Cavalry. So pretty much you took that last unit and you just put it up on a horse, and that's what you get. But again, though, you got the look of the last unit combined with these horses, and man, this is the best unit in this group. It looks fantastic. It's just overall, this is just an amazing looking unit. We're now at the Mark of Azure, which is the missile resistance plus 15% for all the units in this section. We have conscript spearmen, Langshan spears. These are obviously these spears, you see them, they really stand out on how they look. They look really good though, but I will say this unit fighting normal, it's kind of okay. But the phalanx stance, man, this unit, even with its stats being low, it can go a long time surviving in combat with that stance. Next up, we have the conscript firework archers. They say firework infantry. These guys are pretty much shooting like an explosive style arrow. It's not really that flashy. Their range is good on these guys. Their stats are low. They're a low tier unit. I mean, it's a ranged unit. I'll be honest, I like ranged units to a point, but at the same time, I don't ever really get that excited over one. So these guys are pretty average. I know it is something nice to mix up in Grand Cathay though. Now this was one that I did get excited about, the Azure Grenader. They have their explosive infantry. They throw hand grenades pretty much, and I really like that. I could just see, hiding behind the phalanx spearmen and just chunking these grenades over the walls, doing a lot of damage. Their sword looks good. The unit looks good. I mean, they look like they'd be pretty okay in a melee as well. Maybe not great, but do better than most ranged units. But overall, yeah, I think this is a great unit for being ranged and then being able to go into melee after. Azure Warriors Hand Cannon Infantry. The hand cannons here, as you can see, they're on the end of the pole. It's just 3 barrels. So the wood trade-off on this is that, pretty much this becomes a blunt weapon. They're going to do ranged fire, and then after that, melee, they're going to be swinging that around like a hammer. Pretty much. But overall, I think this unit's pretty okay. I kind of like the hybridness of units in this mod, even though it really made it a hard time to record some of the combat on this mod, but it still turned out pretty good in my opinion, and I liked it. I got a lot of 3K vibes from this mod. This modder definitely played Three Kingdoms for sure. But the Azure Warriors Nest of Bees, I like this unit. I think it's interesting, has good range, good missile strength, and that they fire like this just volley pretty much come out of these things. They really go all over the board. They're not that accurate, but to me, showering units with this would be great. So overall, great selection from the modder on putting these in here.
Dragons protect us.
Compared to the unit we saw earlier, I actually like these a little bit more. The Gun Lance Infantry Azure Warriors. I like this more because the weapon, it does have a cannon on it, but you still get the pike kind of spear, and then you have more options, and it looks like it would be more versatile to actually use in combat. Range isn't that great, 80, missile strength isn't that great. Melee attack, melee defense, I mean, this is an okay unit all around. Its charge defense is going to be good, charge reflection. I mean, this is a good defensive unit that can put out ranged fire. This cavalry unit is fantastic. This thing was like really great in my opinion. Beacon Fire Lancers, they're a Fire Lancer unit. Obviously, looking at their spear is greatly designed, by the way. The fact that it does not take away from it being a main weapon. But when they release their ranged fire, holy cow, does it do damage. I was surprised at how well it did against infantry. And this unit, you just lay down the fire, then charge. Another great melee unit with a pretty good ranged attack, honestly. We have the dismounted Byra. These guys are supposed to be an elite unit. Their range attack, you see the javelins on their back, they actually throw those. And they're really short with a chain on the back, so there's like added weight to it. Overall, great design on these guys. I like their clubs. I mean, their shields look good. This unit looks top tier. Really like it, really enjoy it. And stats are pretty good on this unit, in my opinion. I don't think they're overpowered. A lot of this mod, I feel like, was pretty well balanced with the Grand Cathay. The best gun unit in this mod, we have the Storm Gunners. It's a 3-barrel gun they have, and they have a pretty large shield as well. They fire in a volley of 3, so you have 3 consecutive shots that come out, and then they reload. And they actually do have an ability called Overload Shot, which pushes them into a kind of like a formation phase mode, where they get increased firing speed and things along that nature. So overall, really like this range unit, and it really plays into a defensive play style. You know, you don't see cavalry flail units very often, so I feel like this really stands out to me. Yeah, they have a bow, and I'm just like, okay, they have a bow, great. But to me, the flail is what I'm looking at. I like the design of the cavalry unit itself, and the fact that that flail just looks so menacing. Overall, design-wise, great job by the modder. Fantastic. This unit here, great stats across the board. It's going to be a great cavalry unit for you, and you could use it pretty much in a lot of situations. Now we're at the Mark of Iron, and Mark of Iron is a little different because they have formations with their units and they have less units, but they have a defensive formation, which you're seeing here, and the stat bonuses it comes with. A lot of it's going to be missile block chance and then 360 missile block. Then we have the marching formation now, which is going to increase the speed of the unit, and then increases mass, defense, spell resistance, missile block chance. So yeah, it's overall they just can't do range attack in this formation, but it looks good. Now we have the charge formation, which is going to be for the cavalry unit. Obviously, it increases charge bonus, mass, acceleration, decreases against large, so you do not want to do this against large units. It will actually hurt you doing against large units. Now we're at the attack formation, which is for infantry units. Increases speed, mass, charge bonus, melee attack, and spell resistance. But overall, these formations add something unique to the iron grouping, and I really like that. Now we're at the first iron unit, Militia Swordsman. Mark of Iron is a spell resistance plus 20%, which kind of makes sense because with you being in a formation, your units are going to be more clustered together, which spells could do more damage to. So I like that they have kind of like a buff against that, you know, so it's not just like a huge negative if a spell hits your unit. The Militia Swordsman, I like these guys. Everything in this mod looks very organized, very official, like you would have a standard military. And I like that. It really fits in, and it's something unique to this mod. Now we're at the Militia Repeating Crossbow. Again, this guy definitely played 3K a lot. I like repeating crossbow units. I like being able to do suppression and things like that. You know, just pretty much you're just raining down a lot of arrows. This unit looks good. They have that same uniform look, and like this to me looks like a standardized military unit, and I really think that it fits into Grand Cathay as a whole. Something else that modder did great was whenever you're stepping up from one tier to the next tier, you really see the difference in the armor. And looking at them, it's just obvious that this is a better unit overall than the last one. Iron Warriors, repeating crossbows. You're back to the repeating crossbow style unit. Just overall really like this. I can tell this guy definitely played 3K, and if he hasn't, he's extremely inspired by what he's seen in that game. So yeah, big fan. Militia Horseman Repeating Crossbow. So as you see here, they have, again, more repeating crossbow units. I guess it kind of makes sense because you wouldn't expect militia troops to be accurate. So that means if they could fire a lot of arrows, they're going to at least hit something. So that kind of makes sense to me. Having these guys on a cavalry, so they're a melee cav because of the sword and shield. So they're not going to have as much charge bonus, but they also have that ranged attack. So they have some stuff going on for them. I like this unit. I think it would make sense, and I could definitely see myself using them. As you see the step up here now, the Iron Warriors Halberds, not a hybrid infantry, so I mean, like, there's no range attack on these guys, but you're getting to a higher tier infantry, so they're more specialized and you have a little bit better stats. Stats isn't crazy on this. I think this mod is very well balanced in my opinion. I'm sure people are going to say in the comments that maybe this mod isn't so balanced, but in my opinion, it's not too off the scale. I've seen a lot of more mods out there that are just extremely overpowered. My second favorite unit in this group, we have the Iron Warriors Zanma swords. I just love the look of these swords. I mean, these big two-handed swords. I'm just a sucker for these, okay? So, like, this is just my ideal unit of what I would love to see in combat and would love to just charge into my enemies. The armor you can see here, it matches the previous style. You can see it's a higher tier unit, and overall, just great by the modder on this. And stats aren't crazy, so it's good. Now we're back to a classic shock cavalry here. We have the Iron Lancers, and as you can see with their weapon, kind of makes sense. They are, because they're a higher tier unit, they're more dedicated to actually, you know, their main damage here. There's no ranged attack, but they look good. You know, this is a pretty straightforward unit, how to use it. I think it stands out from the rest of Grand Cathay, and I could definitely see myself using this unit, and it looks good. You know, this looks like a military unit. It just fits in. Now we have my favorite unit in this group, and that's dismounted Pagoda. There we go. We're gonna go with that. But anyway, I love this double-sided design. This reminds me of that unit in the Yellow Turbans in Three Kingdoms that has a double-sided club. Really reminds me of them. So yeah, I like this unit a lot. Yellow Turbans were one of my favorite factions in 3K. So I think this is just a great unit. Does splash damage. It's bloody in combat. Has formations. Overall, really great, and it adds a super elite unit to this mod. We are now at the final grouping, Mark of Basalt. All of these units get a physical resistance plus 5% to them. And we have the Garrison Swordsman Crossbow unit. These units are going to be pretty much the units you would see defending the Great Bastion, defending the wall. And they really do look the part. A lot of these units are going to be hybrid units, and their stats are pretty good across the board, and they are more defensive focused in my opinion. But I like the look of these guys, like the shields. Another bonus this group get is called the We Are Bastion 1, and there's also going to be a 2. It's leadership plus 12, melee defense plus 6, and they're immune to psychology. So overall, I like that they get a good bonus. It again increases their defense even more and their holding power. These are going to be great defensive siege units in my opinion. And I do like the hybrid aspect a little bit here because you're not sacrificing, do I put a missile infantry or do I put a melee, when you can have both. So I really like it in this situation. We are now at the Garrison Horseman Cavalry Union. You know, which is odd that this is not a hybrid unit, because a lot of these units are hybrid. So maybe he was like, okay, not on this one. Let's just keep it straightforward. But it is a straightforward cavalry unit. You know, you can use it pretty much for flanking, charging. I would not recommend really putting it in melee, even with the stat increases. But leadership's going to be pretty good. It does get the We Are Bastion 1 bonus. We are now at the We Are Bastion 2 units, which are going to be leadership plus 18 and defense plus 10, and they're also immune to psychology. We have the Rainstorm Warriors with maces. So they have a mace, and then they also have their ranged bow attack. Overall, great unit here. You know, it's what you'd expect. A lot of these units are hybrid, but again, though, it's still good. I think this unit looks fantastic, and you can really tell you're getting into a higher tier unit just from looking at them without any stats or any additional info. Just like the last unit, these are the Rainstorm Warriors with spears. And I've got to say, the spears really stand out on these guys versus the maces on the last unit. I feel like this unit, even though they're like the same unit, the weapon really makes a big difference in my opinion. And also, I feel like I would enjoy using these more over the last one just because I favor probably more spear units than I do just like mace or even sword units. So I feel like I would probably use this unit more. But again, great looking unit. Even though there's going to be 2 more units that are technically better units, like more expensive, I'm going to say that this is probably my favorite unit in this group. The Rainstorm Warriors with glaives, mainly because I like the glaive weapon. I mean, that's pretty much it. I just really like the look of their weapon, and I just feel like, me personally, this is the best looking unit in this section. I like the weapon, I like the bow, the look of these guys, they're pretty much my favorite. Now, the next 2 are good, though. We have the Great Bastion Sentinels. They're sword infantry. They have a very unique looking sword, as you can see, and their shield has like spikes on it. So I mean, like, they're very defensive. Well, obviously you can see some of them have an axe, but they're very defensive, but also like, you're going to attack us and we're going to do massive damage to you kind of unit. And they look good. I mean, this is what you'd expect for a high tier defensive focused group, and I like it. This unit kind of stands out in a weird way. It's a bow and glaive unit, and I do like their glaive. I do like their design to a point, but it is kind of odd because like they stand out so much. They have so much going on with them look-wise and color-wise that I feel like they kind of don't fit in with the rest of the group. Like, I feel like they just stand out too much compared to the rest of the grouping, and maybe that's the point. Maybe that's how they're designed to look. But I don't know, I could just see these in a different coloring scheme maybe, or maybe less flamboyant. Altogether, I give this mod a 9 out of 10. This last section here is some lords and hero units that I would like for the modder to stylize into these groupings. I feel like that this mod needs like lords that kind of fit with the groupings, and also heroes that fit with the groupings. I could see both of these lords here being changed over, and then both of these hero units being changed over. Like this gate guard here, I feel like he could easily be stylized into any of these groupings, and they wouldn't have to change very much, really, just how they look. And again, this would be a great one. Like if you change this guy into something cool, I would love it. But again, thank you for checking out this mod, guys. Down in the description is the link to the mod, and I will catch everyone next time on the next mod spotlight.